there was a family on their way home, way down south, and they had gone as far as they could go, and they had made their way. They were driving on the dirt road. A storm came and the lightning started flashing, and the young man that was driving the car lost control of the automobile and ran off the road, and everybody was all right except him. They got out of the car. Just across the dirt road was a white house. They took him across there to the White House and knocked on the door, and a white lady came to the door and say, "Can I help you?" They say, "Ma'am, if you just let us, our brother just got in an accident, and we just want to come in and make a telephone call. We want to call the doctor." They walked in, and the daughter got on the phone, and the phone kept ringing, and there was no answer. Finally, somebody picked up the phone and say, "I'm sorry, but the doctor not here. He's out on his rounds." Somebody say, yes. Well, the daughter put that phone down and went back into the living room, and the little children, they were sitting there crying, and they were all sitting there crying. And by the time Grandma had gotten out of the car, she made her way across the dirt road, and she walked up to it and just opened the screen door, and she peeked in, and she say, "How's my son doing?" And they told her, she say, "Ma, we tried to call the doctor, but he was out on his rounds." And she say, "You let me come in." And she walked in, and she looked at that white lady, and she say, "Ma'am, do you have a closet?" She say, "Ma'am, do you have a closet?" The white lady looked at her and say, "If you want to use the phone, you can use the phone." She say, "No, ma'am, I don't want to use the phone, but I want to call my doctor, and I need to go to your closet." Wait a minute. She made her way to the closet, and there was just enough room for her to get in there. She walked in the closet, and the children were walking behind her. She walked in that closet, and she closed the door. And before she talked to the Lord, she say, "Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Jesus is my doctor. He writes down all my prescriptions. Gives me all of my medicine in the room. Tell my doctor," I say, "Come on in the room." Tell my doctor, I say, "Come on in the room. Jesus is my doctor. He writes out all my prescriptions. He gives me all my medicine in the room." Tell my pastor, I say, "Come on in the room." Tell my pastor, I say, "Come on in the room." Oh, Jesus is my doctor. He writes out all my prescriptions. He gives me all my medicine in the room. I want to see the hands of you that know him to be a doctor in a sick room. Look, if you know he's a doctor, let me hear you say yes. Yes, well, Grandma came out of the closet, and she made her way back to the living room, and everybody was just singing and praising the Lord. The church had got it happy, and the white lady had got happy, and while they was praising the Lord, there came a knock on the door. They was just praising the Lord, and the daughter praising, and the daughter ran to the door and say, "Who is it?" The man say, the man that was standing at the door say, "Listen, little girl, I'm here. I'm the doctor, and if you don't mind, I was just in these parts, and I needed a place to turn into. Would you mind I come in?" And he walked in and in that room, and walk in that room, and Mama did a say thing. Everybody else was happy. She just prayed. She just raised her voice and say, "This there is joy in the room." I say joy in the room. Oh, Jesus is my doctor. He writes out all my prescription. He gives me all my medicine in the room. Let me hear you say yes. Yes, let me hear you say yes. Yes, if you know him to be a doctor, let me hear you say yes.